So basically, Conor McGregor's foot is a balloon right now. Every other MMA channel on YouTube has already talked about this.
What's up, guys?
But as always, no one's telling the truth. MMA truthers! Assemble. What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse, and I'm the founder and grandmaster of MMA, Mexican martial arts. According to my calculations, almost half of you are not even subscribed. What's that on? But you can fix that right now by subscribing down below and clicking on that bell. I'm trying to get to 3 million subs by August. I also want to let you know that this video is sponsored by the Ridge wallet, the front pocket wallet that's slim and harder than Conor McGregor's tibula. More on that later. Today's comment question: will Conor have won without the leg break? Conor McGregor is the Tin Man of the UFC. People like to watch that fool do his little dance and whatnot, but he's got no heart.
No heart.
And you can't just buy heart unless you know how to get on the dark web, which, coincidentally speaking, is where he bought his teeth. And that's it right there. Conor's not interested in heart. He's too focused on his appearance.
Are you wearing lady clothes?
Did you see his interview with Megan O'Leary? That fool was pulling on his jacket so much I thought he was trying to judo throw himself. And even though it was not a sacrifice throw that ended the fight, that was a sacrifice. You see, you can't both save face and your leg. So Conor had to make a decision. But let's start from the beginning. Conor McGregor came into this fight with the Royal Rumble type of mentality. He was trying to fight RDA, going sticky hands with Dana White. Then he started going after Dustin's lady like if she was Luna Vachon, but she's not part of it. She's a civilian. And the DM request, I could do the same thing, homie. Hey, look, D's trying to send me a message. And Megan O'Leary. And Valentin. Hey, that was real. He should have been focusing on Dustin, but that fool was too busy being mad at the world. He was even trying to get low with that fool in the pink suit. And I'm not talking about John Anik. I'm talking about this fool, John Panic. That fool embarrassed McGregor at the press conference and threw him into a straight up panic when he reminded him that he's only won one fight since Obama made sure that I could no longer afford insurance. And then when Conor finally did talk about Dustin, he gave more false predictions than Sylvia Brown.
They back away, they shoot for the legs, they shell up.
He's the one that did the backing away, the shooting, the shelling up.
It's not gonna be pretty what's gonna happen to this man in here.
But it's what happened to Conor that wasn't pretty.
I'm ready for the 25, but yeah, early on.
But it was Poirier that won early on.
Stephen, I am a nice guy.
He was not a nice guy.
My performance to win the second world title was the single greatest performance in UFC history. I'm gonna top that on Saturday night.
He did not top his performance against Eddie Alvarez.
He looks frail.
But Conor looked frail.
He's going out on a stretcher in this fight.
But it was McGregor that went out on a stretcher. He went from Mystic Mac to Mystic Machiavellianism. That fool's not right. He went cuckoo for coco. Está loco. And I know that some of you were still clinging on to that little bit of hope, thinking that maybe McGregor might be the chosen one because of his weird tongue. But that's actually a little souvenir from his fight with Khabib. Conor bit down too hard and made a hole in his tongue when Khabib was cranking that chin. But that's not the only ailment that McGregor brought into this fight. You might have noticed the cupping bruises on his back. And at first I thought that fool was just into some extracurricular activities, because I had seen people doing some sketchy things with cupping on TikTok. But I guess what had happened is that he was just having some problems with blood flow. The same thing happened to my tío Beto. So he started taking the Cialis. But that supposedly Conor can't swallow pills, so that's why he has to crush them. And on top of that, everybody just wants to do the cupping now, ever since they saw Michael Phelps doing it. But it didn't even start with him. People don't realize that it's an ancient Chinese secret, and people are finally starting to learn that such methods actually tend to have adverse effects. Same with acupuncture or CrossFit. But Conor's poor circulation and messed up tongue didn't affect his enthusiasm to fight. He was ready to go. And so was the crowd. They were cheering him on and didn't really seem to care about Poirier, which I think tells us a lot about the state of the world right now. Back in the day, we used to cheer for the good guy. But now, the crowd is cheering for Conor, like if his name was Barabbas. But Dustin wasn't even tripping, Cause that fool had a little trick up his shorts. And the trick was the shorts. Dustin came into the fight with those red shorts, looking like a Dagestanian. He knew that it would get into Conor's head. And you know that this is a significant gesture because Poirier hasn't worn red since 2015. And that was way back when the fighters were still allowed to wear billboards. So the shorts weren't even the same. Another theory is that Poirier has a hilarious sense of humor and that this was him fully embracing that red panty night. Either way, he got into Conor's head. When you look at him, you could see the stiffness. And he tried his best to loosen up by throwing spinning stuff. But quickly realizing that this was ineffective, he transitioned to the leg kicks. And although technically every kick is a leg kick, these were a little different. These were revenge kicks. McGregor was throwing those kicks like if he was throwing bottles at Nate Diaz. One of the kicks was a little off. And Dustin claimed that he thinks this is where Conor broke it.
When I pointed at him at the beginning of the fight, that's when I checked the good kick. I bet that's when it cracked.
And although I respect this YouTube doctor about as much as I respect Dr. Phil, I have to agree with him on this one. I don't think this is where the break happened. Conor was still healthy at this point, and he followed up with a left and a heel palm. He was trying to shove Poirier's nose into his brain. If Poirier's nose wasn't all chueco, he would have ended his life right there. And then he continued with the kicks, and he got predictable. So Dustin started trying to catch him. You see, McGregor was all messed up because of the last fight. And he was trying to fight fire with fire, you know? But that doesn't work. You gotta fight fire with water. Even Stipe Muchacho will tell you that. And I thought Conor was a Bruce Lee fan.
I've no doubt he would have been world champion in MMA, no doubt.
Be water, my friend.
He should have known better. But I can't really blame him either. Because every time he tried to throw hands, Dustin either wasn't there or he simply wasn't phased. But it was different the other way around. Dustin touched up Conor and made him want to wrestle.
Let's wrestle.
And I couldn't help but notice the officers right there behind the cage, witnessing the whole thing. The level of restraint that it must have taken to just sit there and watch the 187 take place. But something else quickly caught my attention. As Poirier was trying to get the single leg, it seemed like he whispered something to McGregor. Fortunately, I was able to isolate the audio.
Don't be silly, jump the ghillie.
McGregor was losing so badly that he actually took Poirier's advice. His corner's advice wasn't working, so he figured he had nothing left to lose. It was like when Max Holloway was trying to teach Brian Ortega how to box. There was actually a brief moment where I actually wanted McGregor to win with the guillotine because that would have been hilarious. And you might think that this was mean of Poirier because obviously Conor will have no chance on the ground. But what Poirier did was actually very considerate as he gave him that nice little photo op with the proper 12 logo. I know what you're thinking. If Poirier really was nice, then he would have gave Conor an umbrella because it was about to start raining elbows. I like what you did there. But look, Poirier is nice. He's gonna let him up. Oh, no. He says, soy. Dustin landed. Conor up kick. But this? No one's talking about this right here. This is when Conor showed that Joker brain. This is the moment Conor knew exactly how the fight would end. He was about to take the fight into his own hands. Right after holding on to Dustin's hands and cheating by hooking his fingers into his gloves. And Dustin tried to speak up about it, but too much of that Herb Dean wasn't interested. Now that you mention it, too much of that Herb Dean wasn't interested in stopping the fight either. I don't know how you could stop this fight, but not this fight. He straight up sat down and his body language said, please sir, don't hit me anymore. And I don't know who this vato is or how important he is, but maybe he's the one in Herb Dean's pocket. But it doesn't even matter because at this point, we didn't know what had happened yet. And until right now, you still didn't know. It was at this moment that Conor McGregor knew that he was gonna go full Tyler Durden. That's right. Conor McGregor broke his own tibula. That fool liared himself on pay-per-view. And it's pretty obvious why.
Make no mistake about it. This fight was trending in the wrong direction for Conor McGregor.
Yes.
Let's not
sugarcoat it.
Yes,
Can't
not
sugarcoat
sugarcoat it, right?
An ending like this may help him in a way because people are saying, even on this broadcast, well, there wasn't a definitive conclusion to the fight in a fight that he was clearly losing.
This might be, though, a good way to lose for Conor McGregor because I looked online already and I see so many people going, you can justify a fourth fight.
Is it the same kind of logic as when he claimed that Khabib was never the real champion because Dana didn't give him the bout in the cage? Yes. But the fanboys are eating it up. When they're not watching Sean O'Malley's podcast, they're posting on Reddit about how Conor's gonna be the champion in 2022. Conor will never be champion again. But I do think that he could play one on TV. That fool was playing the part afterward, like if it wasn't all a piece of his master plan. And he was crying for a doctor stoppage.
Doctor stoppage! Doctor stoppage! Doctor stoppage! They're telling doctor stoppage!
Sure that it is a doctor stop.
Always considerate. Poirier tried to make him feel better by flattering him with imitation. And then Joe Rogan sat down next to him, like if he was Mr. Rogers or something. And now McGregor's coach is all mad at Joe Rogan for interviewing him. That Conor said a lot of dumb stuff because he was very emotional. Coach Kavanaugh is also very angry with the bus driver from UFC 223 for driving a bus while McGregor was emotional. Hey, I would want to make excuses too. McGregor needed the help. That fool was clearly delusional. He said that he was boxing the bleeding head off of him.
I was boxing the bleeding head off him!
Hey fool, whose head was bleeding?
If I have to take this outside with him, it's all outside!
He wants to take the fight outside, even though he can't even stand up on a nice canvas with the referee who lets him cheat. He thought he was winning. And then when they carried him out on the stretcher, which he predicted what happened to Poirier, he was dancing. That fool was delirious like Eddie Murphy. Hey, say what you will about Conor being a bad guy, a liar, a cheater, a dirtbag, a bully, a manipulator, a criminal, a degenerate, and so on. We've never seen anybody do what he did in the cage that night. As soon as he knew that he had no chance of winning the rubber match, he went the rubber leg route. He was thinking ahead. Think about it. The next time they fight, he's gonna be throwing those kicks with the metal rod in his leg. Think about how hard that's gonna be. It's gonna be like a ridge wallet. If he had gone to a good doctor, they would have lined up the inside of his leg with a bunch of these bad boys. And they're not only safe for reinforcement, they protect your money. Wireless identity theft is rampant. Your kids are out there doing it right now. Without the RFID blocking protection of the Ridge wallet, it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg to get back everything you could lose. At least a leg. Fools are gonna be out there shopping with your information. I used to do it. Ironically, that's how I bought my Ridge wallet. Let's say you want a Ridge wallet, but you don't even want credit cards because of Big Brother and whatnot. It has a spot for all the cash you need. And instead of credit cards right here, you can put your library card or all the gift cards that people get you for your birthday because they forgot about it till the last second and they don't know you well enough to get something thoughtful. Some people are buying a second Ridge wallet because they forgot they already had one. Because it's such a slim front pocket wallet, you forget it's there. But it's one of those things that even though it's forgettable, it's also unforgettable. Because how can you forget something that has over 30,000 5-star reviews? And you could join that 30,000 club today. Room for one more. Just go to ridge.com/Voto and put in the promo code VOTO for 10% off. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because when you don't do that, then YouTube assumes that this is a terrible channel. Thank you for watching Mexican Martial Arts. Appreciate it. Good looking out. Hold up. I know what you're thinking. Grandmaster, you didn't address whether or not Conor should get the rematch. Should there be a part 4? Yes. Just so that Dustin can either get the clean submission or knockout. So that there will be no more questions or conversations about this. Because I don't hate the fanboys. I feel bad for them. For they know not what they do. And I want to see them liberated. And McGregor losing cleanly and legitimately again will be the only way for them to see the truth. Also because I would love to make a video about that.
Oh man, I don't even have fans anymore.